So the question is, if everything that we see is God, and through our eyes the one seeing is also God, then how do we reconcile that against seeing things that are difficult, that are troublesome, that are worrying, that are emotionally difficult for us to understand? Do we just need to accept everything, or should we also have the strength to change things? So seeing the world through this perspective is the right perspective, is the Guru's perspective. To see everything as the oneness and recognize that there isn't you looking at the universe, it is the oneness looking at the universe. But if you are seeing someone come towards you, attacking you, then part of our nature is also to defend ourselves. It's completely natural. It's inbuilt into every living thing, a sense of survival, a sense of defense, and an instinct that says, I'm going to protect myself. If you're looking at the face of oppression and you have the ability to do something about it, then it is your natural response and reaction to do something about it, to step away from danger, to step away from abuse. We talk about things like accepting Hukam, but then when you're faced with a difficult situation, like there's domestic violence issues, people are being abused, child abuse, there are so many different horrible things going on in the world. Yes, they're all Hukam, but part of that Hukam says that you've also got built within you the natural defense mechanism that says, I'm not going to stand for this. Whether that's oppression against you, whether that's oppression against someone else. If you have the ability to do something, then you must do something. At that point, you cannot be a pacifist and say, I'm just going to let the universe walk all over me. If you have the ability to do something, do it. The Gurus were never encouraging a completely non-violent, non-active, passive movement. If we have the ability to do something, protect yourself. If you're in a violent relationship, get out of it. There's no benefit in staying in that relationship. There is no spiritual growth that you're going to get while being constantly abused. You can't meditate, you can't concentrate, you can't think about anything else. Get out of it. And if you're in a situation where someone else is being abused, someone else is being hurt, you don't need to listen to my advice or anyone else's advice. You listen to your own heart, and you will feel that there is something within your heart telling you that this needs to be rectified, this needs to be resolved. Something needs to be done about this. That is also an inbuilt Hukam within you. There is a Hukam within you that says, look after those that you can look after. A mother naturally looks after her offspring. Species from one group will always defend itself against another species, another attacker. So this is also Hukam. Fighting is also Hukam. Fleeing is also Hukam. But within all of that, the realization has to be that this is all part of a divine play. That the oneness is acting in many different roles. And what we have to learn to do is to move away from saying that some things are good and some things are bad. What we do is we label things as good or bad just based on how they affect us. So if someone's attacking us, that's bad. And if someone is giving us compliments and giving us gifts and nice things to us, we say it's good. But the state of true realization, what Gurbani calls the Gurmukh, that enlightened state, that is detached from both good or bad. It doesn't see anything as good or bad. Just as though we may look at nature, nature is quite brutal and violent towards each other. Animals are constantly eating other animals and killing each other. We wouldn't look at any of that and say it's bad. It's just natural, it's just the way the universe is. And in the same way, we should look at the same things in our life. If things are happening in our life, naturally we can do something about it, but it doesn't mean the situation is good or bad. It is just what it is. It is the oneness acting as every single different character. It isn't a bad person against a good person. It isn't right against wrong. It is the oneness doing something to the oneness. And that is the awareness that Gurbani recommends that we keep within ourselves, because that's the awareness that gets us elevated from emotional difficulty. That's the awareness that gets you away from suffering. Suffering means I live within my own body and I will look at you and I will decide whether you make me happy or you make me sad. To be elevated from both pain and pleasure into a state of bliss, into a euphoria, is to see everything as the one and acting to itself, doing acts of kindness and doing acts of violence to itself. That is where bliss comes from.